43% of the internet runs on Microsoft servers. They literally wrote the book on cloud gaming. So how did they manage to completely break their own flight simulator using their own technology? That's the question millions of frustrated simmers are asking right now as Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024's launch turns into a complete technical disaster. Some users have been staring at a loading screen for over 48 hours now, and when others finally got in, they found missing textures, aircraft completely missing, and graphics that look like they're from the 1990s. And Microsoft's explanation? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Microsoft finally addressed these issues in an emergency announcement. Jörg Newman, head of Microsoft Flight Simulator, admits they completely underestimated user interest and that it overwhelmed their infrastructure.
We knew the excitement was high for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, but frankly, we completely underestimated how high, and it really has overwhelmed our infrastructure.
But it gets more interesting. Sebastian Vlock, CEO of Asobo Studio, revealed they tested their systems with 200,000 simulated users during their tech alpha, the main problem being that wasn't nearly enough. Hey everyone, James from FS Reviews here, and today we're diving deep into what's really happening behind the scenes with the MSFS 2024 launch. But before we start, we want to make it crystal clear, we're not here to bash Microsoft or Asobo. Simply put, we just want you to understand the technical reasons behind this mess and explain what could have been done differently. So to understand why this launch went so wrong, we need to look at the complex technology powering Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This isn't just a game connecting to simple servers, it's running on Azure, Microsoft's cloud computing platform, and Azure isn't a small player in the cloud market either. As of 2024, it has a 20% market share of the global cloud infrastructure market, making it the second largest provider just behind Amazon Web Services, or AWS. So every time you take a flight in MSFS 2024, Azure is streaming an incredible amount of real-time data to your simulator. We're talking about Bing Maps data, real-world weather information, live traffic patterns, and even AI-generated elements like buildings, roads, and animals. All of this happens continuously during your flight. Think of it like ordering a custom-made pizza, but instead of getting a pre-made one delivered, the kitchen is creating it in real time while you watch. Each topping represents a different layer of data, so in this case the dough might represent the terrain from Bing Maps, the sauce is live weather data, the cheese is AI-generated buildings, and every other extra topping is the traffic, animals, or unique landmarks. It's all being added dynamically as you taste the experience. In the announcement video, Sebastian Vlock explained that their database cache is completely saturated.
It's a very big database and there's a cache. And that cache is currently getting saturated.
Essentially, to access the simulator alone, Azure has to verify the contents and copy of the simulator, initialize the streaming services such as live data, load aircraft data and your user profile, and then establish a continuous data stream for real-time updates. And this entire process is heavily dependent on database caching, which was overwhelmed during the launch. Without this database fully working, MSFS simply doesn't work. As Vlock explained, you'll either get stuck at 97% loading or get into the simulator with missing content. They tried to fix this by implementing a queue system and increasing its speed by 5 times, but as Vlock admitted, the cache just simply collapsed. But here's the ironic part. Azure uses something called Stream Analytics, that's designed to process millions of events per second with incredibly low latency. Under normal conditions, this system is powerful enough to handle massive loads of data. It can scale up instantly to meet demand, process data both in the cloud and locally on your PC, and seamlessly integrate all of these different data sources. But that's where Microsoft dropped the ball. Azure's Stream Analytics is powerful enough to handle millions of pieces of data all at once, but only if they're set up correctly for anticipated load. Think of it like running a huge event in a stadium. If you was expecting say 50,000 people, but 200,000 people show up, the gates, the security, and the concessions would all be overwhelmed. For MSFS 2024, the issue was similar. Microsoft didn't anticipate just how many people would try to access the system at launch, and they didn't prepare enough gates, or in this case servers, to handle the huge surge in demand. And the system's ability to adjust and scale to handle this kind of traffic is called elasticity. However, elasticity in Azure isn't completely automatic. It often needs manual adjustments like extra servers or distribution of workloads to handle the peak demand. and Microsoft didn't do enough of this before launch, and as a result their database, the brains, became overloaded and stopped working completely. Now you might ask yourself, mistakes during game launches are always bound to happen, and you would be right, but there's plenty of options Microsoft could have tried. For instance, Call of Duty regularly allows players to preload their updates days before release. Destiny 2 also does the same thing with their major expansions. Even Cyberpunk 2077, for all of their launch issues, at least got this part right by allowing preloading across multiple platforms. The benefits of preloading are pretty obvious. It spreads out the initial server load, gives players with slower internet connections a fair chance to play on day one, and ensures that everyone can jump in at the same time to enjoy the game. And for a simulator like MSFS 2024, it's even more vital because it has to load in massive files and complex assets all in real time. Instead, what we got was everyone trying to download everything at the same time, while also trying to authenticate and initialize the streaming services. It's like trying to fill a swimming pool, run a marathon, and solve a Rubik's Cube all at the same time. Something was bound to give. So what should have Microsoft done differently? Well, as we mentioned before, they could have used Azure's elasticity to properly manage the demand. But we want to be clear, this isn't necessarily about whether Microsoft knows how to use their own product. This failure just highlights the challenges of predicting and managing extremely large launch day demand. Even a platform as powerful as Azure can fail when expectations are underestimated, and in this case Microsoft did just this. Instead, they could have set up more servers, or clusters in this case, in advance and fine-tuned their database systems. Look, we get it. We're all frustrated, and we should call it exactly what it is. It is a complete failure. Microsoft and Asobo had every resource at their disposal. They had the second largest cloud platform in the world and years of experience of previous launches, and yet they delivered a product that is barely functional at launch. And to top it all off, the launch was made even worse by the major problems with the limited collector's editions for MSFS 2024. Eager simmers who pre-ordered the collector's edition hoped they'd get it on release day, but Aerosoft, the distributor of the collector's edition, announced that due to unexpected shipping delays, deliveries wouldn't begin until the first week of December. Yes, you heard that right, they couldn't play the simulator on launch day because activation codes were included in the physical package that they would receive. The community was rightfully pretty vocal about their frustrations, and Microsoft offered a temporary solution for those who pre-ordered the limited collector's edition before November the 6th. But while Microsoft attempted to fix the problem, it felt more like a band-aid solution to a self-inflicted wound. Choosing Aerosoft, who, let's face it, hasn't been the most reliable of companies recently, as a distributor, and the lack of proactive communication for the delays contributed to the overall sense of mismanagement and erosion of trust within the community. And for a company that sets the gold standard in both technology and even flight simulators, this shouldn't have happened. But, to their credit, Microsoft has been transparent about the issues, and they've shown at least a willingness to keep players and simmers informed. But transparency doesn't fix the fact that simmers around the world paid a premium price for an experience that falls short. What do you think? Did Microsoft's explanations at least ease some of the frustration for you, or did this launch set a new low for the series? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more flight sim content that cuts through the BS, and we'll see you in the next one.